Hello and welcome to the Best Life Podcast, where we here at Altra Federal Credit Union are helping you live your best life. I'm your host, Tony Beyer. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we are in 2026. Can you believe it? Where did 2025 go? I have absolutely 100% no idea. So with this being the first podcast of the new year, we wanted to have some tips and tricks on how we can start 2026 off on the right foot when it comes to our money and when it comes to our financial wellness. And speaking of financial wellness, we are joined by financial wellness coordinator Angelica Bravo, who helps our members there in East Texas and also a little bit in Tennessee. So thank you so much for taking the time to be on the podcast, Angelica.
Thank you, Tony. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Angelica, for taking the time to talk about this important topic. And with it being a new year comes typically New Year's resolutions. And, I know a lot of us, we might make resolutions to say, I'm going to get more physically fit, or I'm going to declutter my space, or tackle projects, that we've been putting off for quite some time. But just as important as our, physical fitness and wellness, our financial wellness is just as important, if not more important, potentially. So one of the, foundations of a lot of what I talk about in sessions, educational sessions that I do, and I know that you do as well, Angelica, also as a financial wellness coordinator, it's all about putting together a spending plan. So I was hoping that we could kind of go over some of the basic steps for somebody, if it's been a while, or maybe we've never put together a spending plan. What are some of the good places to start with all of that, Angelica?
Yeah, so I always like to start by saying that like a spending plan doesn't have to be complicated or scary. It's super basic. It's really just keeping track of where your money's going. So you could start by maybe reviewing your bank statement. So maybe take a look at the most recent, maybe last 2, 3 months, and just kind of look at patterns to see where exactly your money's going. So maybe you like dining out, eating out, fast food, coffee, and maybe you don't realize how much you're spending. So if you
Yeah.
like look at it and just kind of add that up, it kind of gives you a perspective of where your money's going. So maybe just starting there and just little changes here and there. Again, it's all pattern and just focus on the basics. What bills do you pay every month? What are things that maybe you can cut out? I know whenever we're reviewing bank statements, there's sometimes transactions or charges that we're not even aware of, like some subscriptions or like a gym membership that gets automatically charged. And if you're not using those, if it's not needed, you can start cutting there and then maybe cut back on also like dining out or the coffee shops, just here and there. And little by little, it adds up. And just those little things that you can do to make small changes that over time, that adds up. And at that point, you can maybe review other transactions that cut back on other things, but just little things here and there to start off.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. The more basic the budget, the more likely you are to stick to it, especially initially. And that's a great idea to take a look at how you've spent your money previously, looking at the resources available, the statements and things like that. That's really important to review. And it can be eye-opening, like you mentioned, some of those little expenses, little costs, they add up and they can add up pretty quickly. So, and those little changes, those are important because they can make a big difference.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I found that when I try to make these big, huge, sweeping changes, whether it be with my diet or activity or even my money, if I try to make these big, huge, I don't stick with it. And I don't
Yeah.
know how you feel about that, Angelica, but those little things, those tend to stick a little bit better.
Yeah, it can be hard if you set, I guess, your expectations too high, but just like small changes over time, they just kind of lead to better decisions. So just starting small and then maybe working your way up to those bigger changes.
Absolutely. And keeping in mind, the goals that we may have as well.
hmm
So let's say, something great happens. Someone has a windfall, or, maybe they receive unexpected income. What are some good ideas people should do when it comes to unexpected money that they may receive?
Yeah, unexpected money is great, but it can go really quickly if you're not intentional with how you're spending it. So
Mm,
maybe setting up some sort of plan to where, okay, I'm getting X amount of money. I might splurge here and there, but also maybe putting some money towards savings
Yeah.
or investing or, paying down debt. And then once you've paid some of that down or again invested or saved it, then, treat yourself to something. I think it's about balance and we still do deserve to treat ourselves and, do hobbies and things like that. But we also have to look at it like a big picture and, set our priorities and making sure that, we're being responsible with that money. Cause again, it can be spent really quickly if we're not careful and
Sure.
intentional. So just kind of pause and decide ahead of time, what can you do with that extra money? What's smart? What's a smart move to make with that?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, always too much month at the end of the money, and yeah, money can go like that. So having a plan
Yeah.
for it, really important. It doesn't mean you have to spend it, like you mentioned, putting it in savings or investing that, or maybe thinking about bigger expenses that we might see down the road as well. But all really important things. And when it comes to having that money, I mean, it gives you options. So kind of on the flip side of that, talking about, let's say, we know some larger expenses are coming up. We've got Billy's got a birthday coming up. Susie, she's going to need braces here soon. The roof, the shingles are curling. Things like that. What about some bigger expenses that we see coming? Any strategies or any ideas on how to better navigate those and not have to, rely on credit or putting that on a credit card or something? What are some good ways to think about some larger expenses that we see coming down the road?
Yeah, a lot of people get caught off guard or just, I guess, stressed out once they know that that's coming up or that bill hits. But I feel like it's just being prepared. So instead of maybe thinking, oh, well, this is going to cost me $1,000, maybe think ahead and break the $1,000 into saving $100 every month or, whatever it is. That way you're saving that little by little and it's not as stressful, coming up with the full amount at once. So yeah, just trying to see if you can break down those expenses into smaller amounts. It can be a little bit less overwhelming. Again, you can be a little bit less caught off guard. It can be really stressful, again, having to come up with a large sum of money at once versus having it broken down, over time into smaller quantities.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. And I'm going to steal a line that listeners to this show, she had been on it in the past, Jackie Urban, but she always liked to say when it come to savings or putting money towards something, even a trickle of water will fill a bucket. So just
Hmm.
a little bit at a time, so that you're not having to take all this money out of, at once. And it's not as painful either. And we see it coming. So one of the things that's going to help us do that, it is savings. And Angelica, I was hoping you could share with us, what are some strategies or what are some good ideas to get somebody started with saving or making that more of a habit?
Yeah, so savings, it doesn't have to start with hundreds or thousands of dollars. It's just consistency. So you can start off maybe 10, $25, whatever it is, weekly, bi-weekly, maybe X amount of dollars from your paycheck, just saving little by little because over time it does add up. And it's more about, again, that consistency and having the habit of saving, even if it's a couple dollars. Maybe if you can automatically deduct a certain quantity from your paycheck, that way you don't even see it and it's going to maybe a separate bank account, can be, good for you if that'll help with maybe the control of like not using that money or just having that separate account where hey, this is what I'm saving for. Maybe if you want to label that account, vacation or whatever, car, maybe that'll kind of help with this is what I'm working towards in the future. And maybe that'll help again with that control of leaving that money alone and, saving it for that goal that you're wanting to accomplish.
That's a really good idea, Angelica. And automation can be a wonderful, beautiful thing when it comes to our money. And like you mentioned, it's setting up different accounts, different savings accounts that can easily be done in our online banking, our digital restyle. And you can have an account, like you mentioned, just strictly for vacation or a new roof or Susie's orthodontia. I don't know why I keep talking about Susie's messed up teeth or something like that. Things that we see coming or goals that we have or things that we'd like to accomplish in the future. So those are excellent strategies on getting started with savings. So, we've been talking about a spending plan, giving our money a job. We work hard for our money. We want it to work hard for us. And Angelica, what would you say to those that believe that if I have this budget, it tells me what not to do. It's constraining. I don't like it. I don't know if you hear that in any of your sessions.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I know that I've heard it as well. What do you say to those that, think having this spending plan, it's a downer. It tells me what I can't do. It says I can't have any fun.
Yeah, a lot of people think that, but I feel like a spending plan gives you permission to spend money
Hmm.
in a way because you know how much money you can spend, and maybe that spending will be guilt-free.
Yeah.
So just having an idea of like, okay, I'm still setting money aside and I'm able to spend this amount of money. I feel like, it's less limiting, even though
Yeah.
it sounds like, I have to have control and I can't spend this money, but I feel like it's most helpful. So yeah, I definitely don't see it that way myself.
We're definitely on the same page, Angelica. Like you said, a spending plan gives you that freedom. It says, if this is part of the plan, awesome. You can spend that money. Cool. If you like wearing nice name brand clothing, or you like the stylish shoes, or I think winter boots would be more appropriate with the weather, most of the country is experiencing right now. But anyway, you're able to do that as well. And it's all part of the plan, and it actually can be very freeing, and you don't have to worry as much about your money because it's all in the plan. But, if we're spending all this money on clothing, we don't have that to spend elsewhere. So we're going to have to make changes. We're going to have to make trade-offs, when it comes to our spending plan. And it's always going to keep changing as well. Our spending plan, it's very dynamic. It's always changing. It's not a set and forget it type thing whatsoever. And, thinking about some ways to possibly free up some money. And I know we were talking about this before we turned on the microphones here, Angelica. But if you're looking at, maybe if it's been a while since you shopped around for insurance, especially car insurance, there's a lot of tools and ways to do that online. Also, any, subscriptions or any streaming services or anything, those are getting more expensive all the time. If you're not using them, call, cancel them right away. Also, your cell phone. You don't necessarily have to go through, one of the big, huge carriers. There are a ton of different prepaid plans, MVNOs, mobile virtual network operators to check out. A lot of options there. And then also we're in tax time too. So if you're going to be getting a big tax return, great, but also know that Uncle Sam and Aunt Samantha, they've been holding on to your money all year. So if that's money that you could use throughout the year, maybe, talk to your HR department, see if you can make some changes to your tax withholding. But talking about spending plans, what we've been doing here on this podcast, if you have that as part of your spending plan, that tax return that's going to help pay down debt or, get you closer to some goals or things like that, I'm okay with that too. Just make sure it's part of the plan. So those are some strategies and some things just to free up a little bit of money here at the start of 2026, get you off on the right foot. So Angelica, I know that you're incredibly busy. That's all the questions that I have for you. We'll get you out of here shortly, but is there anything here at the end that you wanted to talk about?
No, I think we covered, the basics of it. Just again, it can feel intimidating to start, budgeting or with a spending plan. But again, it's just those little steps we take to accomplish the goals. Little by little, you stick with your plan, with your budget, whether you're saving a couple dollars here and there, it adds up over time. And, time's going to pass anyways. What are you going to do with that time? Are you going to make the changes to get where you want to be?
Yeah, that's a really good point that time's going to pass anyway. Might as well make the plan, see if we can grow savings. The longer money sits in an account that earns interest, the more we're going to have in the future. Take advantage of compound interest. But really great, to start 2026 off right with a great plan here. And we have a lot of help and a lot of support here for you here at Altra. We have a financial coach in each of our different offices. Super easy to make an appointment. You could do that on our website. You can call in, and there's no cost to that whatsoever. And it's another set of eyes that is able to take a look at your finances, your bills. What are some goals or things that you'd like to accomplish, or maybe help pay down debt, or grow savings, or help you achieve these goals that you may have that you want to do in 2026. So. And there's a lot of help and support on our website as well at altra.org. different tools and resources right there under our financial wellness tab. So there's a lot of help, a lot of support out there for you. And know that you're not doing all this alone. We are definitely here to help. We appreciate you listening here to the podcast, and we appreciate you, Angelica, taking time out of your busy schedule to be here on the Best Life Podcast.
Yeah, Tony, thank you so much for having me.
On this episode of the Best Life Podcast, we spoke with Angelica Bravo, who is a financial wellness coordinator right here at Altra. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Best Life Podcast, brought to you by Altra Federal Credit Union. We appreciate you taking a moment to learn how you can live your best life. If you have a question or topic you'd like us to cover, send me an email at tjbeyer@altra.org, and who knows, it may even make it into a future episode. Don't forget to follow the Best Life Podcast pretty much wherever you get your podcasts, or find it on our website at altra.org. Thanks again, be well, and we'll talk to you again soon.